Hey, what's going on, guys? TalkNorwichCity here, back for another episode of the TNC podcast. Week 41. We're closing in on a whole year doing these. Nearly 51 hours worth of podcasting goodness.
What a pleasure.
Week 40 was Jake Humphrey. Week 41 is history in the making. It's the first time a guest has ever been on twice, and he's done it.
Boom!
In the space of 3 weeks. It's Mr. Connor Southwell. He's back without cake this time.
Yeah, without cake. Short notice. Short notice.
What is that?
Short notice.
Short notice?
It's about 12 hours, Connor.
You've been on the schedule for the last 4 weeks. Unbelievable.
I was expecting a coffee and walnut cake, but you know how to disappoint a man quite clearly. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got to try and get on the good books of half of Britain again after we offended most clubs in the Football League and Premier League at the weekend.
We offended Brighton. We offended Brighton, which is totally acceptable. And we offended... Who was the other club we offended?
Sheffield United.
That's 2 clubs. Fine.
Right,
Crack
okay.
on.
It's a good start to reevaluate our sins. Let's go back to last Wednesday, nearly a week ago now. It was Chelsea away. I was there. It was very cold, but it was a warm night for football. It was 1-1. It was the story of Jamal Lewis just keeps on going. It was a memorable night for Norwich City, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I couldn't make it sadly, but I was at home, and it was probably one of the most emotionally draining games I've ever seen. I was actually writing the report for the website for the day after and was doing it as it was going along.
And when we scored and we were
got to the 84th minute.
You had to add an extra 4 paragraphs.
Well, I had to delete pretty much and start again. So
Plug for the website.
Yeah, by the way,
Get it in early.
there's some good stuff going on up there. Links in the description, talknorwichcity.com.
I absolutely lost my shit at the Chelsea game.
yeah, I saw your live.
The live Periscope. I thought, you know what? Bit of raw content. I'm so emotionally done. Let's just crack out a Periscope.
I think that
Lost it.
I think that game, Connor, though, kind of epitomises what we're trying to do at Norwich City, isn't it? We had a 19-year-old goal scorer, and that brilliant photo of him and Campbell going to the Norwich fans, and it kind of shows that new blood. But also, you've got the likes of Grant Hanley in there. You've got the likes of Zimmerman, who probably weren't the most inspirational signings, but were unbelievable. And Angus Gunn pulling out these fantastic saves. If we can recreate that kind of magic and performance levels going forwards in the league, you would hope that we're building something okay.
That's it, and I think for a lot of people it was that sort of thing of this is what we're trying to do and this is how we're going to do it. And I think maybe it didn't click for a lot of people, but I think a lot of people suddenly got it a bit more. And I think that's definitely the direction, to get players involved from the academy and to see if they're good enough for the first team, which I think Jamal Lewis has proved that he absolutely is.
It does seem strange though, Chris, doesn't it, that this season our best performances have come against Premier League opposition. And we asked the question to Jake last week before the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Are we right in saying that Farke's style does suit Premier League football more? And it almost does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's I think it's pretty much a well-known fact now that Farke and his backroom team weren't fully prepared for the rough and tumble of the Championship, which is why the signing of Mr. Kenny today excites me, because we need players that can handle the rough and tumble of this league. Obviously, in the Prem, you get a hell of a lot more space. I thought, but going back to that Chelsea game, just so proud, genuinely. At the end of the game, I didn't actually feel gutted. I was actually proud. I wasn't that disappointed. So, just hats off to them for that performance. And obviously it showed, and we knew it was going to happen against Sheffield United, because we put literally everything into that game. I think Nelson Oliveira couldn't even walk. He was hopping around on the pitch at the end, wasn't he? So, I mean, what can you do?
I mean, we'll get on to the Sheffield United game in a minute. Let's quickly touch on this little booklet that we would have all received through our post boxes this week. The season ticket renewal booklet.
Jack.
With a fantastic picture of Daniel Farke on the front, by the way.
They listened to our advice. They didn't put in the story of Nigel Smith in the City stand. Yeah, because we don't care about Nigel in the Smith City stand. We just want to know the price.
Or maybe it's because they just couldn't afford the printing costs this year.
Yeah, probably. And I noticed that it's now not coming in an A4 letter. It's now cut down. So, every little helps.
Printing cuts.
The Wevolution coming to full force there.
This is the... You probably can't see it from there. This is the...
I'm so sorry. I've really got to interrupt. You know there's a thing called the Wevolution?
Yeah.
We need something for Stone.
Stones...
We need something for Steve Stone. Because I feel like we're leaving Steve Stone out. But he is making a massive impact. Go on, Connor. Think of something on the spot. I mean, saying like we're stoning it is a bit kind of.
I was gonna, you probably won't get away with that one.
Yeah, a bit aggressive /
But I think Steve Stone comes under the Wevolution.
I don't know.
Branch,
I think he's on a level with Webber. You know,
Really?
I think he's massively underrated.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. You do the brain work on this one. This is, though, the sentence that we were all looking for. Prices frozen, excluding some hospitality season tickets. Please contact the club for more details on that one. But prices have been frozen for the 5th year in a row, I think. However, that does still mean we are one of the most expensive season tickets in the Championship, and also one of the most expensive season tickets if we were in the Premier League. They had to freeze them. Could they have put them down, Connor?
I don't think so. No. I think where they are, I don't think they're in a place to put them down, sadly. And you know, I think freezing it is probably the best thing to do. It's not like, you know, they're Huddersfield who are getting 12,000 every week and can lower it to get more in the gate. So I think they did have to freeze it, and you know, I think if they'd have risen it, it would have just caused mayhem, to be honest.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, Chris, I'm looking at here, and if you don't renew until May the 8th, which is the final deadline, you're looking, if you want to go in the Barclay, £585, which equates to £25 per game.
Yeah.
Even if you renew by February the 18th, which is the first deadline, you get you the best possible price. You're looking at £500, which equates to £21.50 a game. That's a lot of money for Championship football.
It is, and I think, I don't know, I've got two opinions about this, because I do think we're still playing Premier League prices. It's obvious that we are doing that. Obviously, 2 of those last few seasons have been in the Prem, so I'm all right with that ish. I do think there is some piss taking going on in terms of the complacency towards supporters, because we are paying the same prices, but what are the supporters getting back? Is there a singing section yet? No. Has there been any initiatives that have actually been followed through by the club to help the atmosphere? No, there hasn't. Is there a fan site? No, there hasn't. Has the programme prices dropped? No, there hasn't. Have the pies improved? No, they haven't.
Sausage rolls have.
Big issues.
Okay, the sausage rolls have. Okay, fine. Okay, the sausage rolls are banging. To be fair, you did give me a bite of the day. It was quite nice. But my point is, I'm okay with that. But on the other hand, I'm thinking, I don't know. I think I can understand, but also it really excites me. And please don't take this the wrong way, but I think there's actually some dickhead tax on that.
Some what?
Some dickhead tax.
Right, okay.
Or some negative.
Please contact the club.
There's some nasty negative moaners tax on that.
Right.
If you're gonna, you know, because quite frankly, if you're sitting here moaning about it this season, you're not going to renew at that price. So maybe it will clear out some of the dead wood in terms of the negative supporters as well. And hopefully the young people that have been on the waiting list can now come into play. And you saw it against Chelsea in that first leg. How much better was it with fresh faces in that Barclay?
Let's start with the elephant in the room, Chris Wilder.
Oh, God.
Let's quickly. So your fan cam from the weekend, Chris. I did throw you in the deep end with the title and the thumbnail.
A bit.
It's now
you put me on the chopping block, Jack.
It's now got 8,500 views.
Yeah.
120 dislikes and 160 comments, in which I'm probably not going to read through that.
I don't read the comments, to be fair.
So Chris Wilder.
So it went down really well. We've had a bit of time to think. If there was that many comments, obviously it went down really well.
I'm not going to read them for a reason.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
We've had a bit of time to think.
I stand by what I've said, Jack. I do. I absolutely do.
And what did you say for the people that haven't seen that fan cam?
I think first and foremost you need to watch the fan cam.
Okay.
Absolutely. Pause this right now. Watch the fan cam, then come back, give us the view. Thank you very much. Get it over 10k. Happy days. God, I've absolutely lost the plot tonight, Jack. It's just like Chris Wilder is really... I'm almost at his level now. I really am. Anyway, basically, if you haven't watched it, I go on about how Chris Wilder, his celebration at the end. I did a little impression.
I think that was the thing that annoyed people.
And I'm fine with that. And okay, I'm fine with that. I'm so fine with that. I did an impression of their manager. Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, come on. It's not the end of the world, is it?
No.
What we've discussed off camera... just to get you guys in the room and not make this the Chris Reeves show. Basically, Chris Wilder giving it the tap of the badge and the tap of the watch, slightly too much, but acceptable if it's towards your own fans. Cool. You know, you're bold, you're brash, you're over the top. you've come from League One, it means a lot to you, great. But as soon as you turn to the other fans to do that, for me, as Michael Bailey put in his article today, it's classless. And I think that eventually he'll get his comeuppance for that, to be honest with you. And I must say, what actually pisses me off more than Chris Wilder and anything is the Sheffield United fans that said that, I was really bitter. I was absolutely taking the piss. I couldn't give a shit. I really can't. Like, honestly, we played so well at Chelsea. I was prepared for the fact that we weren't going to lose. Like, Connor, what's the issue?
It's not an issue. No, I'm just impressed with how passionate you are. That's all.
I'm always passionate. It's my football club. It's Norwich City.
Go for it.
So, yeah, whatever. But all the people that, obviously gave it large on Twitter were the ones that were crying when we beat them 1-0 at their place. They're the ones that are being pathetic.
I mean, Connor, let's look at the... I suppose at the flip side of this, Chris Wilder's certainly a passionate man who loves his football club, and the Sheffield United fans love him. On a completely tactical level, he got it spot on at the weekend.
I thought he was superb, in terms of how he set his team up, particularly first half. I thought they were excellent. Completely outdone Norwich in all areas, in all honesty. They pushed the wing backs back, and at times it was a 5 for Norwich. They overran the midfield. Harrison Reed was getting worked about, and then that isolated Tete had too many fires to put out, if you like. And most of all, they got their midfield forward, and they went as a team. And they're one of those sides where you just think there's no one particularly that you put your money on to sign or whatever. But as a team, they're really, really good.
I mean, that is the thing, is that love them or hate them, Chris, they're a team that are working effectively in this division.
I don't hate Sheffield United. I really need to make that clear. I hate Chris Wilder, but I don't hate Sheffield United. I think they're a proper football club, and I have actually got some respect for them. I do. And I think that they really do remind me of Norwich City when we went up from League One and we had to buff people off the ball. And we had the players that were, they're not the most talented bunch, but they work very well as a unit and they play some good football. And going back to my fan cam again, I did make it very, very clear that Sheffield United deserved the 3 points. They played us off the park in the first half. Norwich City weren't at the races and they played some good stuff, so fair play to them. Sheffield United will be in and around the playoffs this season and they deserve to be. I do have respect for Sheffield United. I just think that the fan thing was a bit two-faced, and I thought Chris Wilder was classless.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly didn't take that defeat at Bramall Lane well, did they? And as you say, I think classless is maybe the right line.
I mean, you don't see Norwich fans bottling the Sheffield United players, do you? That's the difference for me. I found that very disappointing, and for them not to see that side of it was, for me, where the issue lies. Yeah. But as I say, just to repeat one more time, Sheffield United, great club, full of history, and they deserve the 3 points of the weekend.
Just on a professional level for Wilder, I think he's risen up the leagues brilliantly. He did a brilliant job at Northampton. I think before this season, the last 2 seasons, he's got like 199 points or something. So, you can't fault the guy in terms of what he knows about football. But yeah, I think, as you say, I can't see Daniel Farker giving it large to the opponent, to the opposition fan. I think it is that word, isn't it? It's class, and that's the thing.
To be fair to Wilder, I watched his post-match presser, and he did actually give Norwich quite a lot of credit. I think that's a lot easier to do when you've just won, and I think it's kind of throwaway comments almost.
I
think once he calmed down a bit, it was fine. Anyway, let's move away from Chris Wilder. We've talked enough about him. Let's talk about the whole tiredness issue. We played 120 minutes at Chelsea. It was obvious that we very much exerted ourselves, and there was only one change in that team, which saw Vrancic drop out, who was actually probably one of our best players at Chelsea.
Agreed.
Now, you've got 2 arguments here. You've got the Michael Manson argument and the Norwich City fans. Some fans saying, well, these are professional athletes. They work 5 days, 6 days a week training to condition their bodies. These players should be capable of turning themselves round in 3 or 4 days. And I saw Darren Huckabee tweet, I think it was on the Thursday, someone tweeted him saying, is it easy to recover from a Wednesday to a Saturday? And he said it's not easy, but it's doable. And then you've got the other argument, which I think I saw you and Robin Sainty saying, these are just humans at the end of the day. Yes, their recovery is going to be quicker than the average bod like me, but they are still going to feel fatigue. They're still going to feel that lactic acid on the muscles. What do you think? Do you think maybe Farker's naivety played into it a little bit here?
Possibly, but I think that's easier, said with hindsight. I think more than anything, they were mentally tired as well as physically and sort of tactically tired, if you like. You know, they played that shape so well on Wednesday night against a very good side, and it took them a very long way. And yes, physically they probably are going to recover okay, but I think mentally coming back from that and going again is the tough point. And I think in the first 20 minutes you could see that mentally it was really, really tough for them to not switch on as such, but I think for them to sort of get into top gear, I think they struggled. But as I say, you know, a lot of them were on injections, a lot of them were taking painkillers during the game, so it's one of those, isn't it? You know,
I think that's a key point that Connor's touched upon there. Obviously, because he always creates key points. Angus mentioned it in his post-match interview. Mentally tough. When you play that many minutes, and you know you go through the high of scoring, literally a last touch of the game equaliser against the champions of England, to them being crushed on penalties. You know, especially for Angus, you know, it was tough. It was really tough, and you know, I think a lot. There's a lot more in the mental side of football than people think.
Yeah.
It's not just talented bodies running around the football pitch that can kick a football. It's you've got to be so mentally switched on, and I don't think that the boys were. I'm not saying they weren't up for the battle against Sheffield United, but they were thinking, "Oof, we're playing Sheffield United." Do you know what I mean?
It was a come down.
They're gonna buff us about, and we've already been buffed about by Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really key point. I think in terms of the minutes discussion, and again, me and Connor chatted about this while you were running to get your mic, Jack. Jack wasn't prepared tonight, guys.
It was quite quick, actually.
Yeah,
We did half the podcast.
Good fitness, actually. Maybe you need to be playing these games, actually.
I tell you what,
Do a
down
job.
them 3 flights of stairs like a bloody
Yeah,
pinto on a good day. Yeah.
For me, the interesting and turning point of the game against Sheffield United was when Daniel Farke took off Harrison Reed. For me, shouldn't have happened. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think Harrison Reed had a 10 out of 10 performance, but I didn't think he was anywhere near getting tired. He didn't look like he was getting tired. He was travelling across the pitch very well. His passing was decent to good. And I didn't think Tete was at the races. It was a very strange decision to not take Tete off. And for me, Harrison Reed played all of those minutes at Chelsea, but actually looked really fit against Sheffield United. For me, and just to draw back in, I don't want to keep whipping Mario Vrancic, but I want to try and be level about it. Yes, he played very well against Chelsea, but he came on fresh-faced, bushy-eyed against Sheffield United, came on and did what he was doing back a few games when he was woeful. Misplaced passes when he had so much time, and that for me is the frustrating thing that he needs to iron out of his game very, very quickly.
I mean, I suppose, going back to that Vrancic, I don't think he was terrible, but Mario Vrancic isn't a player that's going to orchestrate the tempo, is he? He's a player who will...
Why not, though? Because he should be orchestrating tempo, Jack.
I just don't think he's that kind of player.
He is that player. He's got to be. What else is he?
I don't think he's a championship player. I
know you've said that.
I think there's a very good footballer in there.
Yeah, me too.
And at times he has looked very good, but it is that consistency over a championship season.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's got...
Not taking it away from his Chelsea performance was brilliant. He was really, really good. Even put in some crunching challenges. But for me, like going on against Sheffield United, your back's against the wall, but you've got to come on and make an impact. And he even had the time against them, but there was a few wild through balls that were just so unnecessary. Just keep the ball, feed it into Wes Hoolahan, and that's another thing we didn't do well enough at the weekend. We finally brought Wes Hoolahan on, who by the way had a great game, with enough time to make an impact, but we didn't feed him.
I suppose it's tough with this system we're playing, isn't it? Because you play them two midfielders, and they are effectively both deep sitting playmakers, aren't they? They need to sit defensively quite deep to cut the play. But at the same time, we said it, Chris, in your interview, and I think you did as well, Connor, that we just don't have at the moment a midfielder that can carry the ball forwards. Mario Vrancic isn't a ball-carrying midfielder. I don't think he's got the pace about him. I don't think he's got the power about him. I don't think Harrison Reed's that. I don't think Alex Tete is that.
I think Maddison does it.
But Maddison isn't playing in that too, is he?
But he does carry the ball forwards.
Maddison did drop incredibly deep at the weekend, and I think that was probably why we didn't see that
exactly
effective.
Right.
So what do we do about this midfield then, in that case? Because it's clearly an issue.
I think this is just my preference. Where I think if I think about midfield, what I like is sort of a more defensively minded player who shields the back four and protects them, and then someone who can influence the game going forward.
Yeah.
Someone who's a bit more technical. So. I mean, you look at Tete and Tribal, but I think they work in different systems. So with Tete and Tribal, I think in a back four, those two work brilliantly because it allows the fullbacks to go on. In a wing back system, I think you struggle a bit more with that because I think Tribal's asked to do is made to do slightly more in terms of what he has to compensate defensively. So I think you lose that sort of ball carrying to a degree. So. Yeah, I think Norwich lacked that, and I think the one that did it really well was Johnny Howson, and he's obviously a big miss for everyone.
We missed Tribal big time at the weekend as well,
Yeah.
by the way. Hopefully he gets back soon.
I mean,
Jack, there is one player that you could bring back to Norwich City that you really like playing centre defensive midfield.
who's that?
Really technically gifted player, centre defensive midfield. Bring him back, play him in that role, Jack.
Who is it?
Who's your favourite Norwich player that you really highly rate and that you know is going to turn it around? Who is he? I'm just going to keep you hanging until you guess it.
I genuinely.
Okay, let me put it like this way. He was a complete waste of money.
Right.
Crippled the club of future seasons. Yes, Stephen Naismith.
He wasn't a central defensive midfielder.
No,
he was a more defensively minded attacking midfielder.
No, that was not what you said.
It was completely
you said
what I
you could
said.
play him in a central defensive midfield
No, I did
role,
not say
and he was
that.
technically gifted.
I said he's a slightly more.
Don't go
defensively
two-faced on your
minded
audience. Don't do
midfielder.
Sheffield United.
Anyway, he's gone. We're going to be talking about Stephen Naismith in a moment, actually. Let's talk about Alex Tete because this is probably going to be his final season in Norwich City shirt. He's been incredible this season. I think you look at the stats before the weekend and they were unbelievable in terms of the games he's played and the games we've won. However, cost us the second goal at the weekend. It was clear that his legs weren't working like they used to before, in the famous words of Ed Sheeran.
What a link
I
that
know
is.
you've got your orange jumper on tonight, but
Got engaged the other day, didn't he?
What a link that is.
But there was a lot of people when he done that presser a few weeks ago saying we have to renew this man's contract. I don't think we should. Connor, thoughts?
I don't think they should. I think there's a part of me that thinks they might try to. Although it would be on lesser money, so I can't see him doing it. But I think to touch on his performance on Saturday, he was overrun completely in the middle. He was poor. I don't think he protected the back three particularly very well. And I think there is that thing of him performing better in a four. So there is that dilemma there of, well, do you play a four and look defensively better?
who do you want to suffer on the pitch, basically?
That's it. And
is it Pinto? Is it Nelson?
And that's it. But Norwich have no width, so they have to play a free at the moment, and I think he suffers a bit from that because he's asked to be a bit more. He's asked to give a bit more, and I don't think that's really what he's good at.
I mean, we're constantly talking, Chris, about is the system right? Do we have the players to fit in the system? And you do kind of think at the end of this season, next season is a big one for Daniel Farke because there's going to be no excuse about the squad he's got. He would have had time to bed in, get his transfers in. You do think once you get rid of the Alex Tetes, the Matt Jarvises, players like this, he will have a real chance to create that identity. And let's also not forget we've got Kenny McLean coming in, and we'll talk about in a bit. Ben Godfrey will be returning. There's players there that can fit in that Alex Tete role.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, but
how do you want to respond
has
to
Farke has Farke got to let the likes of Alex Tete go in terms to build his identity?
I mean, we spoke about this off camera, me and Connor, and again, like...
God, you spoke about a lot. I was only gone for 4 minutes.
No, we literally just went... We made the most of it, Jack. It was a very intimate moment, actually.
Very.
Leave that there.
Tete, just to go back before I answer that very strange
Sorry,
question.
I was
very
just,
unlike you.
I was just rambling, wasn't I?
That was just a statement.
Yeah,
you basically said a load of stuff and just looked at me.
There you go.
Sorry.
Tete, for me, you shouldn't renew his contract.
Okay.
And Tete was my favourite Norwich player when he signed for us. I thought he was exactly what we needed. A big, bullish, strong midfielder that's going to buff people on the ball. At the time, he could pass. At the time, you thought, he's got quite a good shot on him, actually, even though he really doesn't, apart from that one glorious shot. But in terms of the system...
And he used to have working knees as well. I mean, that's always a brilliant thing.
I mean, at the weekend, I don't think we can actually... I don't think it was down to fitness. Again, I think it was just in his head Why did he make that decision? But that poor decision making was because of the fact that he was so worried about the fans, probably, or does he kick it out? Does he? There was so much going on there, and for me, it was just a horrific decision to throw Angus under the bus like that. And that's not me just with my Angus Gunn goggles on. I'm just being honest. I thought it was horrific. But I'm Alex Tete's biggest fan when he's playing well.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? We're certainly not criticising Tete here. He's been the player that's held us together at times, but at the same time, you can kind of see an ageing player here who's probably not going to be getting any better.
I mean, I personally don't think players like Alex Tete hold us back from Daniel Farke having an identity. I actually think the no excuses section comes after the January transfer window, because Daniel Farke's had a chance, and by the way, we need to make this clear, Daniel Farke doesn't really have a say in who goes in and who comes out of this football club, right? Pretty clear with the Pritchard stuff. That's pretty evident, okay? So let's not make this a Daniel Farke needs to get in this and get rid of this guy and put his head on the ropes for it. It's down to Stuart Webber to make some good signings for him. I think the players that we've got, there's some very talented individuals there, and so far I don't think the players have been consistent enough, and I don't think that they've taken on. So, for example, loved Tim Close absolutely losing his head.
Did you hear that story about Tim Close after the game?
I saw that.
So did you see Tim Close's Instagram?
Hang on, let me finish the point and then we'll go to that.
Okay.
Timmy K, great point. It was great seeing him lose his head because it was hilarious, passionate, but then he's playing on the left and right wing, then he's playing up front, and don't tell me, why has Daniel Farke not got control of that situation?
Okay, so this Tim Close story, first of all, did you see his Instagram post after the game?
No.
Yes.
So basically, you saw it, it was sorry to the people who waited for an autograph, didn't stop, very angry face emoji. And then I saw on the Norwich forum after from a couple of guys who wait for autographs after every game. Tim Close has come out. This little kid has asked for his autograph. He said no. He's gone and absolutely leathered this traffic sign and just kicked a hole through it and then stormed to his car and drove home. He absolutely lost his head.
But to be fair, I saw what he lost his head at and he had a point. I would have lost my head.
It was something about the linesman, wasn't it?
Well, basically, he's running alongside a player and basically he just kisses his hand. He kisses his hand. Yeah. And the Sheffield United player is rolling around. It's an absolutely blatant dive. Yeah. The lino gets it horrifically wrong, and then clearly the ref sticks up to the linesman, and it's an absolute horror show from the officials.
It was quite amusing.
But he did really lose his head.
I think something else must have gone on for him to put.
I think I think the ref must have said something to him, or I don't know.
Anyway, Connor, I read your review,
which
is helpful, isn't it? Yeah. And one of my favourite lines was. They do all count. Yeah. Nelson Oliveira has transformed from the unplayable to the unfashionable in just a matter of months. Nelson Oliveira is an interesting case, isn't it? This is a man who was probably rated the best striker in the Championship a couple of months ago. Bids were coming in of £12 million from Wolves that we were turning down. And now he's a man who can't score and doesn't even look like scoring. I can't even recall a shot from him at the weekend. He's struggling, isn't he?
Really struggling, yeah, and I think part of that is the system, and part of that is his play as well. I think in terms of the system, he doesn't have anyone running beyond him. There's times where his flicked headers on, and there's no one making it or even making it an approach to run on. So for him, he's probably quite frustrated with it, and I sort of get why. But at the same time, his hold up play needs to be better. Which against Chelsea, I thought for particularly first half, I thought he was fairly okay in terms of how he played, but just looks really isolated and really frustrated at the moment.
I mean, I can remember, Chris, we were having a few arguments a couple of weeks back about, I was saying Nelson, he needs to be in the box. He can't keep drifting deep. He can't keep drifting wide to get the ball. If he trusts the system enough, the ball will eventually come to him. And you were saying, well, if he doesn't do it, no one's going to do it. And
quite evidently, he's trusted the system against Sheffield United. I don't think he drifted out wide a lot against Sheffield United. I thought he stayed pretty firm to his position, and the system's failed him, hung him out to dry. And I think Connor has a point in terms of if you look over the course of the last 4 games, I would agree that he hadn't held the ball up enough. But at Sheffield United, I thought he did, and I thought that he was flicking it on really well, and it cried out for someone to be playing up top with him. Now that is the system. I'd say at the moment it's 60% the system and 40% Nelson Oliveira. But for me, the system has to give more for Nelson Oliveira. A really good point. Craig Killett, who's a massive Norwich fan that watches all of the podcasts, tweeted out saying the players aren't getting close enough to Nelson Oliveira. And you know what? He's so bloody right. The issue is because they're so worried about what Sheffield United are going to do to them, or they're so worried about whether they're going to get hit on the counter. I'm not sure if that's just us being too defensive. But for me, like, Maddison is dropping back now. He's not being told to push forwards. You've got Reed and Tete back. For me, no one was getting near Nelson, and I don't think anyone wanted to commit to, going near Nelson, which is a shame because I thought he did his job pretty well at the weekend.
I think Norwich are quite one-dimensional going forward. I think
Definitely.
there's never any pace or intensity.
No width.
The movement is not great. So in that regard, he struggles, and I think anyone would, to be fair, up there at the moment, unless you're sort of a brute who can hold up and bring other players into play, which he isn't. So, and him getting in the box, it is just him, and then you're looking at the winger, putting in a world-class cross, which, unless they're Tim Closer against Chelsea, isn't going to happen. But I feel for him a little bit, because I think he's getting a lot of slack.
Again, I've got the solution, Jack.
Go on.
What is the solution to our up front woes?
I have no idea.
Bring back Stevie Naismith, because he is an out-and-out prolific Premier League proven striker, and he'd do a fantastic job. But he's defensively minded as well.
He is. In terms of... All right, let's try and find some solutions.
I'm not going to let you live that down, by the way.
To these problems. Look, Stephen Naismith scored a few goals at the start of the season.
Bring
when
it
does his
up.
contract end?
20. I think he's gone over a year and a half.
2025.
He's here for life.
Yeah, he's here for life. Lifetime Hall of Famer. Let's get some solutions to these problems then. We talk about the system. For me, the system only really works away from home. That's where I've only been... I think the performance at Bristol was fantastic in terms of the way we counter-attacked, but we soaked up a lot of pressure. Bristol were very committing. We don't see that with teams at Carrow Road. I haven't seen a convincing performance at home all season. Do we play...
Does it even work away from home, though, Jack? Because we're only winning by a goal if we are.
But I think that
winning
is the
away from
system, and it has worked on a few occasions.
But it's risky.
It is risky.
Because if it's only one goal and you have a bit of class, a bit of one-off quality, which in the Championship is more likely to happen now because of the amount of money being spent, for me, that system can't continue to work away from home. And I think, and the other thing is, I think that system will get easily found out by the end of this season. Definitely. If it's not already been found out away from home.
So what do you change then? Do you go two up front? We've done that before and it hasn't worked.
Well, you have to sign the appropriate players.
Well, I suppose
first.
we need two strikers to do that.
Well,
which
yeah.
we haven't got at the moment.
Tammy Abraham.
Who?
Not Tammy Abraham.
I wish. Tristan Abraham.
Tristan Abraham.
Oh, I thought if you got a little exclusive.
Yeah. Wow, Tammy Abraham. Can't we?
Could be on, I don't know.
No, it's definitely
What do we do, Colin?
I don't. At this stage, I don't think there's any point in putting two players up front because we look isolated enough with one, let alone two. I think needs some width, needs some pace. There needs to be some variation in the attack.
Well, we've just got rid of our width and pace, surely, with Yannick Wilczka.
He didn't get an assist this season.
And there wasn't width.
Or one assist or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Got
I'll go
goal.
corner.
No?
So are you still sticking up for Yannick? Sorry to interrupt.
100%, yeah.
Oh my lord.
So yeah, I just think a bit of pace, a bit of end product in the final third would help them tremendously, and obviously a midfield runner who is willing to get in the box and commit themselves. I think that's a big thing.
I've got it. I've got the solution to our problems.
Stephen Naismith.
Matt Jarvis.
Well,
back training with the Norwich side now.
Pacey winner.
Proven Premier League player. Pacey. End product. Experience. What do you think, Connor?
I've not seen him play in 2 years, so I can't comment, to be honest.
I loved. I saw Paddy Davitt tweet that Jarvis is back training, and someone tweeted back like, "Is it Rossi or Ryan?" I can't even remember who he is. Quick ending on this Sheffield United, because I feel like we've talked about Sheffield United more in this podcast than we have Norwich. How do we make sure? Because in your review that I did read, I saw you speak about this Sheffield United game being very reminiscent of the Derby game, straight after the Arsenal thing. Yeah. How do we make sure that this doesn't turn into a rut? Because it's now Brentford up next. They've won 5 of their last 6 games. They're in good form. One win, one loss turns into 2, could turn into 3, could turn into 4. Yeah. How do we make sure that doesn't happen, Chris?
I thought you were going to comment there.
Is that a statement? That is a question, right?
No, I'll accept it. How do we stop it from happening? I'm fairly positive, but I honestly don't have a face value solution for you to take home right now. I really don't, because until we sign, I disagree with Connor. I do think that we need to play 2 up front, because I think as soon as you put 2 players up front, you put teams on the back foot, because they're automatically like, oh God, they've got 2 up top. We're going to have to defend against this. And especially if you sign a big, bully, aggressive centre forward, someone obviously never as good as Grant Holt, but someone of Grant Holt's capabilities.
So my question to that would then be, who do you drop to make sure to allow 2 players to play?
Honestly, I don't know the answer.
Do you drop Madison?
But the answer is what? Oh my God, please. The answer is you need to be playing 2 up top, definitely.
The only way I can see him playing 2 up top is if he maintains that 3 and maybe drops Murphy out and puts someone up top. But
okay,
there's so much sort of dependent on a 2 up top. You need the players to play close to each other. You need them to have a good relationship, which is possible. But straight off the bat, when you're signing someone and Nelson Oliveira is questionable, I think there's a lot to ask at this stage.
But we're going to have to do it at some stage, though, Connor, right?
Yeah, agreed. But
do you just wait till next season? Set up for mid-table mediocrity now?
Why not?
Wave the white flag?
No, I don't think so. I think, as you say, they do need a brute. They need someone who can hold the ball up desperately. But I'm not sure how that will work with 2. Just because of how isolated they look with 1. So you lose 2, you're losing a man in the midfield.
And I agree. And just to be very clear, that I will give up on this season if we lose to Ipswich at home. That's when I'll give up on this season. But until we have lost that game at home against Ipswich,
we are going to lose.
I will not give up. No, of course not. If we lose against Ipswich at home, that's when I wave the white flag. Until then, we're 9 points off the playoffs. We can still kiss it. It just takes a couple of games.
We can kiss it, but we can't have it. Probably not a good motto for life, that. Let's move on.
Sorry to all of the under-18s that are watching and listening.
Let's go to some transfer news. It's still January. We have let go of quite a few players.
Not enough.
Ross Martin's gone to Rangers.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, did you? For anyone that didn't,
see this, actually.
Do you know what I'm about to say?
So, yeah.
Right, so I'm in David Lloyd changing rooms,
and
I'm putting my top on, and they've got TVs in there because it's a premium gym. There's the link, and I see Russ Martin with his arm over there with the snowman and a Rangers shirt. He's having a picture with snowmen.
I didn't see that.
Did you not see that? So Sky Sports News, and comment below if you saw this. Sky Sports News, they had a little feature with Russ Martin with his Rangers shirt in front of 2 snowmen in the park in Scotland.
Oh, right.
I texted him, I was like, what are you playing on, mate?
What I did see is the video of Ross Martin arriving at Glasgow Airport.
What is that all about?
There was like 50 paparazzi there.
He looked very confused.
He was like, what is going on?
No, he was lapping it up.
He's like, you alright?
No, he was lapping it up.
He's gone from spending a night with us 2 losers.
He did his hair. so.
When doesn't he do his hair?
It's true.
It's impeccable.
Yeah.
Great word. So Russ has gone there. Probably makes sense. Stephen Naismith has gone on loan to Hearts.
Pleased about that?
Am I pleased about it? No, I really think that Stephen Naismith has a future at this club. I think that he's technically gifted. I think he could play in that defensive role. I believe in him. I believe in his experience, his hunger for the club. I think he's so passionate about Norwich. And you know what? He's really delivered for Norwich. He really has.
Has he been given a chance?
Of course he has. Oh, don't. I wish I hadn't answered that. You sod. Am I annoyed he's gone? No. Do I wish we sold him? Yes. Has it ruined our next 2 transfer windows? Not him entirely, but buys like Stephen Naismith have thrown us under the bus. Definitely.
Yes, agree.
And by the way, he's a really nice guy. He's not a Norwich City player. He should have never been a
Norwich
City
player.
player.
It's just not worked.
By the letter of the law, he is still a Norwich City player.
Sure.
I'm pleased you know that, Jack. Well done, Connor. I'm pleased you said that before me.
Cameron Jerome has gone to Derby. This is slightly more of a strange one. Well, we've got 1 striker now. That's the thing. I think Cameron Jerome might do quite well at Derby.
I think he will. Yeah, I think he will. A lot of competition there, but I think he's what they need in terms of an experienced head, and they're going for a promotion push. He's done it before, so yeah, it makes sense to me.
Vocal.
It was interesting his comments, wasn't it, Cameron Jerome? This is a man who's how old is he? 31.
31.
31.
Yeah.
He was saying that he likes Daniel Farker. He quite enjoys the philosophy, but the training regime just wasn't suited for him. That was quite an interesting comment, that, wasn't it? Because I'm sure there's quite a few, probably a Russ Martin, a Stephen Naismith would probably agree with him in terms of the 12, 15 kilometres they're covering every day.
Yeah, I mean, we've known it for a while that Daniel Farke's arguably worked them too hard. I don't think you can manage a squad of that kind of ilk with literally thrashing them every week. Train. You know, don't get me wrong, a Christoph Zimmermann, because he's Christoph Zimmermann, can do that because he's Christoph Zimmermann. But when you've got players like Wes, Russ, Jerome, that arguably should still be playing an integral part in the Norwich City squad at the beginning of this season, if you're looking at their play, you're looking up to those players and they're puffing and panting coming off the pitch. All right, and a lot of people say, well, no, they're just not a right fit for the club anymore. And I agree with that. But I think it's very interesting that in fact, I don't think it's interesting. I'm pleased that Jerome's publicised that. I'm pleased.
Let's talk about Jerome as a player for Norwich. He'd done a lot, didn't he? I think he probably. It's strange, isn't it? Players only really get the respect they deserve when they leave, but I think fans probably were, paying their respects. He hasn't died. He's still alive. Paying their respects to Cameron Jerome and Norwich. He scored a lot of goals for Norwich. He scored a lot of important goals for Norwich. And on the whole, he was a very influential player for this football club.
He was brilliant. I was always someone who backed him. I was always in the Jerome's quite good camp. I think it wasn't just the fact he worked hard, because he offered so much more than that. And I think if he was perhaps a natural finisher, I think he'd stayed in the Premier League for much longer than he did. The way he worked defenders and brought other people into play, he was more of a player that was better for the team than perhaps himself, and was quite selfless in that regard. So I always liked him, and he's the first Norwich player to score at Wembley. So
I mean, you do wonder, don't you, if we had a Cameron Jerome of 3-4 years ago in this current squad, I think we'd be doing a lot better. I think the thing with Jerome is he lost that yard of pace. You could tell, and that was probably his main strength. He wasn't a great finisher, we all know that, but at times, especially on the kind of that late stage of when Alex Neil first came, he was creating himself 3-4 chances a game. He didn't need to be a good finisher. He was banging goals in. You almost want a 26-year-old Cameron Jerome in this squad now, don't you?
Well, of course you do, Jack, but I think I'm just really pleased that the Norwich fans gave him the love that he deserved when he left. I think it obviously got overshadowed a wee bit because Russ was leaving at the same time. But, as Connor said, when you score such a legendary goal for Norwich City Football Club, and to be fair, I thought his tweets were very classy.
Yeah, great.
Very, very classy. And I think, although we're giving him a lot of love now, I would just like to bring to the table, he got so much unnecessary abuse, so much from Norwich City fans. And again, we look at this season ticket thing here, and I think to myself, if we had some people at this club that actually backed players rather than, after they've had 5 games of not scoring, rather than supporting them, you're then going, oh, Cameron Jerome, you rubbish, you're useless, you're this, you're that. And I have so much respect for Cameron Jerome coming out and tweeting what he did, because in his last 2 seasons, he has been getting so much unnecessary abuse. So much.
Agreed.
He's a very useful player.
Well, it also wasn't his fault that he was the main striker going into a Premier League season, which he should have been.
On his own, by the way.
And that was poor management above him. So it wasn't his fault, and he was never cut out for that. And the fact he scored 3 goals, I thought, was rather telling.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I was going to add. It probably wasn't his fault. He was shocking at times, but he's not a lone striker in a Premier League team, and I don't think he was in the Championship in the last stages either. But anyway, good luck to Jerome at Derby. We have made a signing. He goes by the name of Kenny McLean. He's been loaned straight back to Aberdeen. That almost rhymes. Connor, I saw your tweet earlier. You didn't quite understand that this is How much did we sign? 200k, was it?
Furious at this, aren't you, Connor?
No, I wasn't furious.
He was absolutely off his head.
I was a little bit confused, but I think some people replied, and I sort of like, okay, that makes a bit more sense.
Mr. Level-headed Southwell lost his nut at this.
Yeah, you did a bit of a Chris Reeve then. What's going on? You've been hanging
about
a bit too much.
But no, I think the thing that confused me was the whole sending him back on loan element. Just because from my thought, it was 26. He's not where he is now is probably the best he's going to be in regards of when we're going to sort of get him. And I feel in midfield, why not? But
do you have the answers now? Do you know why he did what he
to a
did
degree,
there?
I think there was a bit of confusion for me personally why they actually went out and paid a fee for him, why they didn't use a pre-contract. But I think if a player gets injured, he can wriggle himself out of that if he gets a higher bid. So I think for Norwich it was just tying him down, and for that money I think it makes sense.
What I'd read was that it was actually about him making sure that his club got the money.
I don't think it was.
You don't think that?
I don't.
You don't believe that?
I think
there's something in that, Mr. Southwell.
I think Norwich were more concerned with losing out to him to say Rangers, than him, looking after Aberdeen.
Because if Reed goes back, which we're not going to be able to afford to sign him, are we? Which you will.
Tete's probably
Tete's gone. You've got to place a punt on him, haven't you? It's an interesting one, isn't it? I do think there's something in that. I do, and I'm liking it, and I hope there is. The fact that he wanted to make sure that he was there to help them for the other half of the season.
I think there probably is something in that.
Maybe he did, but he's not sitting down and negotiating it, and that's my thing. I think it's sort of all above his head. That.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So,
I don't know anything about Kenny McLean before today. I didn't know who he was. Do you know anything about him?
He's a legend.
I personally don't. I spoke to a lad that I know. I say I know him. He follows me on Twitter. So I was like, "What do you know of this chap?" And
who's he, an Aberdeen boy?
No, Dundee United. So we had a bit of a Tony Andrew Lovin.
This is a terrible
Tony Andrew Lovin.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That couldn't have lasted very long.
Pre-season, mind. Tony Andrew was a baller.
Yeah, he was. To be fair, I can remember his debut.
Was it Galston? Was it Galston? He had scored a hat trick or something.
He scored 4 against Hitchin, I think.
My lord. Anyway, sorry.
And he basically said that the way he's been playing for Aberdeen this year is more of a number 10 than sort of an 8 or a 6. But from what I work out, he's quite versatile.
He's going to end up like Tony Andrew, isn't he?
I mean, Tony Andreu was rated the next Cesc Fabregas at once.
Well, that's true. That's true. What I can sort of make of it, and this is me, never seen him play, but I understand he's quite good at passing without creating too much. So
He's good at passing without creating too much.
He's a bit sideways.
So he's Mario Vrancic.
Maybe a bit more physical.
I think there's something going on with Connor and this geezer, because he's not normally like this, is he, Jack?
Connor's very good. You've just basically said he's good at passing.
Well, that fits our
You sounded very intelligent without knowing anything about it.
I think you're just so
I'm just going off with what the guy.
Anyway, Kenny McLean, he probably cost the same amount as we got for going to Chelsea in that replay, 200 grand.
Happy days.
Happy days. We move on. Let's get on to the Twitter questions. Right, Twitter questions. Probably my favourite part of the week. Let's start with Joe Blacksall. I don't think Joe's ever... Oh, you do know Joe?
Tottenham fan.
How does it feel that Harry Kane has scored more goals than Norwich City Football Club this season?
We made him, it's fine.
Harry Kane has scored more goals than our whole club this season.
By the way, Harry Kane is class now. But I look at that and I think, how did he go from his Norwich City loan spell to a world-class player that's been touted by Real Madrid?
He's probably going to break the Premier League all-time goal scoring record in the next few years as well.
You think?
Yeah.
I think he might go before them.
Oh, fair enough. But
Connor knows.
Yeah, he's got the Real Madrid ITK.
In the know, yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Because
that 92nd minute sitter against West Ham, never forget. Never, ever forget.
I always knew he'd do something.
I think the biggest standout one for me was when he played up front in his own against Luton and was completely out.
Yeah.
Just never come close.
I saw a picture. In fact, it was Jake Humphrey that put it on his Instagram. Because we're friends with Jake Humphrey now, obviously. Yeah. Do you know that?
You've not mentioned that,
No. And he had a picture with Simeon Jackson, and I was just giggling to myself, like Harry Kane sitting next to Simeon Jackson.
I'll tell you what, Jackson would do a job in this squad at the moment.
Where is he? He's at Walsall. He's at Walsall.
Well, you never know. You never know. And now this is a very interesting one from Callum Connell, who's in a band. He must be cool. Hummus, spelt with a Hummus, or hummus, spelled Houmous. Now, this is a very confusing one. I genuinely have been thinking about this in previous weeks.
Of course you have.
I don't know how it's spelled. It's spelled two ways. You're a clever lad, Connor. How do you spell hummus?
I think I'd spell it without the O.
Without the OU?
Yeah.
Do you?
I'm a right Norfolk boy, so I'm going hummus.
Hummus.
Yeah, because I used to pronounce it hummus. But it is hummus, isn't it?
I hope to God someone hasn't just clipped that up and put it on Twitter.
I'm not sure if I've ever had it,
You never had hummus?
I'm not sure I have.
Have you got any? You normally,
Hang on, let me check.
You
That's
normally
I was
do.
quite disappointed you
That's
didn't bring
how-
any.
Yeah, to be fair, I should have brought some.
Jake Humphrey got some.
He
didn't
did get some, yeah, but you didn't bring the cake, Connor, so this is a two-way street, my friend.
That's fair enough.
Right, Lewis Nicholson saying, if you had to lose one of the current back five, Evo, Zimo, Timbo, Granto, or Jamalo,
What?
which one would it be?
Hang on, can you just translate that, please?
It's just Evo, Zimo, Timbo,
Pinto,
Granto,
Christoph
Jamalo.
Zimmer.
Actually,
Hanley.
this reminds me of
Oh, I've actually got... was Timmy in there?
Yeah.
Timbo.
Yeah, I've got... love Timmy K at the moment. Really do. From a business perspective and a Norwich City Football Club longevity perspective,
Right.
I actually think that I would sell Tim because I think that you'd get the most value for him now because he's still, capable of playing at an all-right level. I would potentially look at offloading Tim as much as I love him. And then I look at Pinto and I think, how many times... I mean, he did frustrate me at the weekend. You saw his lack of delivery again. I wouldn't normally jump on the bus because I think it has been a wee bit harsh. You'd notice now that he's cutting it a lot more to Maddison, which shows that he's obviously trying to annihilate that out of his game. But for me, Tim close.
Yeah, second that. I think Hanley and Zimmerman are on the up, and he's on the way down.
Yeah.
So.
And you got Sean Raggett, who could
Yeah.
go
Yeah,
around.
great
absolutely.
shout, yeah.
But I do love Tim close. Chris Cassidy. Now I think Chris, didn't you?
This guy is...
Fan.
This
Didn't
guy
you
tweets quite a lot.
compliment his biceps, or was that a different? Chris?
No, it's a different guy.
Was it? Anyway, he's asked. You have 3 bullets.
Don't worry, Connor. We'll explain later.
You have 3 bullets. Chris Wilder, Donald Trump, and Adolf Hitler are locked in a room with you. How many times do you shoot Chris Wilder?
I would love to know Chris Cassidy's opinion on this.
Chris is a Borough fan.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What? Yeah. He must be quite intensely following us to know that we hate him that much.
I think
Either that or he just shares it.
Yeah,
Chris
maybe.
Wilder and Sheffield United have just annoyed a lot of people this season. Anyway, they've got 4
They have beat
favourites.
up a lot of people, to be fair.
Are
we answering that question or not?
No, that's more of a statement.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Let's just read through this.
Blimey.
Jake Mann. I thought I'd ended talking about Chris Wilder, but clearly not. Jake Mann. Everyone hates him, but would you not love to see someone like Chris Wilder at Norwich City? The passion he has for his team is unreal.
Oh, my God.
Passion is something we've lacked this season from the manager and players.
I think he means in regard to someone that loves Norwich that much. But I don't think he means...
Well, how do you know that?
I know Jake, so I think that's what he means.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
And I know his opinions on Chris Wilder. So.
I disagree.
Oh, okay, well, let's go with what Connor says
I
then.
think Daniel Farker is very passionate. We've seen some very...
I mean, look at this picture on the
But
front of the season
he's
ticket
not a
renewals.
Boy, is he? You know what I
He's
mean?
not...
Like,
No, I get
And?
that.
Well,
Look at the leap. Look at the leap. Look at the silhouette of that leap, and he'll do that against
Hair's
Ipswich.
still intact as well. Love that.
Of course.
I think you do need a manager who buys into the whole kind of philosophy and makes the fans believe. I think with results, that will come.
Yeah.
Good. Aaron Sayer, how good has Mario Vrancic been in recent weeks? Him and Wes really changed the game on Saturday, and he battled through illness to play exceptionally well against Bristol and Chelsea. That's a good point, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He did battle through illness.
Bless him.
I think he's improved, to be fair. I think he's improved quite a bit over the last few weeks. I think his game has become a bit more rounded. I think he's not someone that just sort of pings the ball aimlessly. He's added a bit more sort of guile into his game, and there's been a bit more of a physical presence in there, which is good to see. And maybe, him in a deeper role, maybe it does work. Maybe you just need that initial period. But you look like you disagree.
I'm still not convinced.
I do think he's improved. I think Connor's got a good... I still think he dipped in form against Sheffield United. But overall, if you look at recent weeks, he has improved. But for me, I'll say it time in and time out, this team cries for experience to lead it forwards in midfield. Wes Hoolahan, he came on against Sheffield United and made a difference. He brought players into the game. He pulled them out of positions. For me, Wes now needs to play more of a pivotal role in this team.
Yeah.
Connor hates him though, so we won't get into
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But Wes
hate him
isn't
so
that
much.
kind of deep-lying midfielder, is it, that could run with the ball? He's more of a
Mario Vrancic isn't a deep line midfielder.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying he is.
So what are you saying then?
I'm saying if.
Please don't start disrespecting Wes Hoolahan on this podcast.
Since when did I say that?
Well, I'm just making sure.
I don't think you could get away with playing Hoolahan deeper. I just think.
I'm not saying that, Connor. I'm saying Wes needs to be in the midfield, going forwards with the ball and pulling the opposition out of their positions, because that is what he's done. Season in, season out. Maybe in Maddison's role. Maybe we need to give Maddison a break. We need experience in this team to lift it now. We really do.
Maybe struck Maddison deeper. Maybe he could carry the ball. Get Tetty in there. Who knows?
Maybe we need to be a bit more ballsy. Play one central defensive midfielder. Yeah. Hello, girls. Then we play Maddison and Wes together with Nelson up top. That way, you get closer to Nels.
Just play closer up front.
Just play closer up front. That's
Sam Norton, if Carrow Road had to be demolished and Norwich City had to build a new football stadium in Norfolk, where would you build it and why? So Carrow Road has just been knocked down. Norwich City Council saying, sorry lads,
I got it.
We have to move you. We're putting a bus station here.
I got it.
Where are we moving to?
We are gonna. Oh God, no, I can't say. Actually, that's brutal. I was weirdly thinking we could develop the Norwich Castle mound. So in Gladiator, you know the movie Gladiator, like a massive Colosseum, and everyone looks up to it. Yeah. I've got this vision of Norwich, of Carrow Road being on a hill.
So we're knocking down the castle.
Maybe. Oh, I know what we're doing. The castle can still be a museum with our tiny little trophy cabinet in it, and we build that onto one of our stands.
So we are linking
the castle end. Yeah, we'll call it the castle end, and then we'll build the rest of the stadium around it.
But I feel like if you do that, Castle Mal's having to go as well. So you're
please don't tell me you're sticking up for Castle Mal as well as Great Yarmouth. My lord, that place has been dead for years.
Excuse me, there's cruise ships now coming into Great Yarmouth.
No, I'm not talking about Great Yarmouth. I'm not talking about Great Yarmouth, I'm talking about Castle Mal. Please don't start sticking up for Castle Mal. No. It's the Brighton and Hove Albion of shopping malls.
Okay.
What do you mean, oh my God?
To be fair though, the food hall in Castle Mal does have decent choice. You've got a decent chicken establishment in there. You've got
what's the chicken establishment?
It's like an upgraded KFC. So it's like Southern Fried Chicken. I'm not sure what it's called.
I think it is
so Prince of Wales jolly.
Okay. You've got chopsticks,
Burger King.
Are you going
to
Spudgy
I had a Spudgy Like the other day with garlic bread.
Are you going to at any stage here say one decent foodery here? A brasserie perhaps, a roast, something healthy,
a roast,
something that's actually going to give you life.
You've got Boots
nutrition
downstairs,
right?
Get a Boots meal deal.
Okay. Anyway,
where are we building Carrow Road?
I think just for Chris, they should pedestrianise more of the city centre and build it there.
Okay. Where am I building?
Deep breath.
In terms of using what we've already got,
he's going to come with a stinker. I can feel he's going to come with a stinker. Well, what are you going to say?
So BHS isn't currently in use, is it? There's no one there.
Primark's going in there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's that out of the equation then. Another Primark.
That's why they redeveloped their old one, and then they're going back.
I knew you were going to come with a stinker. BHS.
Yeah, but there's nothing there at the moment. I'm trying to be.
So you're going to put a stadium there? Do you realise how big it is? The showground.
No, that's too far out the city.
Open. Yeah, but and
lot
like
of potential. Clubs. Lot of potential.
Yeah, lot of potential.
Yeah, but,
you could build.
Yeah, but then where do you have the Norfolk show?
Well, you could have it in the same place.
Just sack that off.
You can't sack the Norfolk show off.
You could get all the like horse bits on the pitch.
Get
the Queen sitting in the
they did it against Ipswich in the playoffs, didn't they? So why not?
So what do we do with our pitch then when the horses are trampling all over it?
You're
not thinking about these things.
How about? I've got it. How about? So Whitlingham Lake.
Oh, hang on! I'm buying into this now.
Okay, beautiful. Okay.
On water.
So it's kind of like a luxury Middlesbrough.
Okay.
Because you look at Middlesbrough and you think, oof, not particularly pleasant.
Now we've offended Middlesbrough fans.
It's not particularly pleasant.
He's not coming back.
Chris, I apologise.
No. I really like Chris Cassidy, top boy. But Middlesbrough, as a place, I'd rather Whitlingham Lake over Middlesbrough. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. That could work.
Yeah.
The only problem I'm thinking
lots of land on the other side, not in the river.
Traffic flow into Whitlingham
terrible.
is never going to be good.
It would ruin the village Trouse, and I've got so much respect for that village.
Yeah,
Chris Wilder now.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm just used to it.
Possibly Whittingham. Yeah. Well, you know what? One of the finest football stadiums in Norfolk is actually in Yarmouth. The Wellesley's got the oldest stand in the world. The Wellesley, you come on, guys! Like, I'm trying to sell Yarmouth here, and the Wellesley is a beautiful football ground.
Give up.
Why?
Well, it's going to be... Well, I tell you why you should give up. Because you're going to have to move from there eventually, because it's going to be underwater in 10 years' time.
Possibly 50. You've got a shout there. You do have a shout there. But there are cruises coming in to Yarmouth.
Well, they won't be able to go there for much longer because it'll all be underwater.
Look, we've got Harry Ramsden's. We've got a fantastic array of amusement arcades. We've got a beautiful beach with great dunes. We've got a golf course. We've got a horse racing track. We've got 2 casinos. What more is there to ask for?
Should we book a holiday now?
Yeah, I reckon so. Sold.
Yeah.
Get yourself on the cruise ship.
Ankle straight.
Willamot's is back. Willamot's Limited is back. Does he have the same header? He's changed his header.
No, he hasn't.
He's changed his header.
Oh, look at those legs.
I don't think that's Willamot's.
Is it not? Oh, okay. That's not Willamot's, is it? But cracking calves on that.
Looks like they're pulling up a bowling
Good
green.
lawnmower,
That is. I think that's actually kind of. I don't think that's lawnmower, Connor.
Is it not?
I think that's an
X.
That's
what do you call it?
actually
An X.
That is really disrespectful.
Sorry.
I mean, that is a hell of a lot more than a lawnmower.
Once again, though, it's the daily life of a contract. Groundsman come rain or sun, weeds will always outgrow grass. Season ticket renewal lands on doorstep over weekend. No doubt in my mind about renewing, but if you're not sure, what would it take the club or board to announce to convince you? # City till I die.
Grass isn't always greener.
That is true, but weeds will always outgrow grass.
There you go.
Chris, if you weren't overly sure about renewing, it's definitely a valid point. What would Norwich have to do to make sure you do renew?
I don't have that mindset. Like, I'm going to renew because I love the club. I'm not really that negative, but I think for me, I would like to see some sort of incentive for younger supporters. I'd like to see some sort of promise or guarantee in terms of 2 away days next season where they pay for the coach travel. Maybe they need to commit to that up front. And I think that they need to come out with some sort of initiative where they actually not only listen to the fans but put words into actions, and they say, right, this is what we're doing with the atmosphere next season. It's going to be the place to be in Norwich on a Saturday.
Not Castle Mall.
Not Castle Mall, which is buzzing on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Thriving, some may say.
Anything you'd change?
No, I'm sort of the same as Chris. I think it's they make it so it's harder not to renew, don't they? Which is quite clever from a business perspective. I've been going since 2009. I can't imagine not going. So from my mindset, sort of similar to Chris's, to be fair.
I think the thing is,
I'm quite young.
No, I'm just listening.
I saw Mental Mallet post on Facebook at the weekend. Probably the most pessimistic Norwich fan.
Carrow Road?
Possibly, not sure. The most pessimistic Norwich fan I know, but an absolute hero. And he said Norwich won't do anything different because there is still a waiting list, and they know they are going to get 22,000 season ticket holders again next season. So why should they change anything? And he kind of has a point. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
From a business perspective, you can completely understand why they're doing it. But yeah, I think it would be nice to see them give something back.
Interestingly, they took the academy donation off this year.
Oh well, that was a Dave McNally job, I'm afraid.
But we're still trying
to.
I
heard whispers they were going to put it up, so I'm quite surprised that it's not there.
What, you thought the season ticket renewals?
No, I thought they were going to put. I thought they were always going to be frozen, I think, but I think they were going to put the academy thing up.
To be fair, that academy thing, I didn't want to do it, but I just could not be asked to go through the 10 minutes of phone calls to do it, so I was just like, have my 28 quid or whatever.
I think if Stuart Webber had his way, it'd probably still be in there.
Possibly. Maybe my £29 contributed to that Jamal Lewis last minute winner. If so, I'm happy.
I bet you did.
There was also a question which Chris Gorham has replied to. Peter Hunter has said, keep Chris Gorham commentary, or would you put Angus Gunn with the microphone next season? Only allowed one.
The microphone?
I'm not over.
What?
Oh, hang on, I've read this
Jack,
wrong.
do you need a drink?
Keep Chris Gorham on the commentary,
Jack,
or keep Angus Gunn at the football club.
Jack, do you need a cup of tea?
Yes.
Shall I make you a cup of tea?
No, we're nearly done. So, wow, this is putting someone's job on the line here. Chris Gorham on the commentary or Angus Gunn in goal? What would you prefer?
I'm genuinely so uncomfortable answering this question. I just can't answer it.
I'm keeping Chrissy Gorham on the commentary.
I think I am. I surfed him the other day in work.
Did you?
Like, yeah.
Where do you work? Smith's. Can you reveal what he was buying?
I was buying a nice notebook, and I said, I'm a fan of your work.
Was it a red and black?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
no.
So it wasn't his new commentary book then? No. A new notebook. I'm surprised the BBC aren't paying for his stationery. Interesting. BBC cuts, clearly. Are you keeping your mate Angus or are you keeping Chris Gorham? If you sack Gorham, probably not going to be able to put food on the table for his kids.
He's got a job. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm just thinking...
I mean, whatever
we
the
need
situation...
Chris Gorham to come back on this podcast, don't we? So I'll say Chris Gorham.
But we also need Angus Gunn to come on this podcast.
No comment.
Sit on the fence. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I saw...
For once, I'll sit on the fence.
I saw a video the other day of Chris Gorman and Neil Adams commentating on that Sheffield United game from 2010. Just such an iconic duo. Love them.
Yeah.
Love that era. That's it. Brentford up next. Quick thoughts. Win, loss, draw, score prediction.
I think it's a tough one. Obviously, they're in a good run of form, close to the playoffs. I think it's going to be a tough one. I think, as you know, it's going to be in the same category as sort of Bristol City and that. And if we get anything out of it, I think I'll be chuffed with that. But I think I'll probably go for a draw.
Score draw?
Yeah, 1-1.
Why not?
Me too. Exactly the same.
1-1. Well, the last time we played Brentford was the last goal Nelson scored.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
The fantastically named, was it Lasavib?
Phoebe, I think is how you say it. Yeah.
Scored twice. That was a grim night.
Oh my lord, that was
a really
horrific,
grim night. Yeah, and I had to drink away my sorrows in ocean rooms to try and forget about it. It did the job though, so fine. Is it going to be different this time?
No.
Let's see who we've got in by the end of the week.
Ooh, hello. There's got some optimism there.
I tell you what, a player we haven't talked about.
Person.
Oh God, I forgot. Who's the chap we signed? Edwards.
Yeah.
What's his name? What's his first? Marcus
Edwards. Messi Edwards.
Yeah.
If his back's alright, yeah.
If his back's alright.
Yeah.
He's got a back injury.
Joe rates him highly and he's a Tottenham fan, so it's good enough for me.
Go on, Joe.
Fair enough. That's good enough for me as well. What's the score going to be at the weekend? I'll go with the 1-1 as well.
Oh, we can't all say 1-1.
All right.
Jack actually thinks we're going to lose 3-0.
I'm not feeling great about this.
Jack thinks we're going to lose 3-0. You know,
not 3-0.
2-0.
I'm just not feeling great. I don't know why, but I'm
So
feeling
you
good.
No wonder in that jumper.
I quite like this jumper. It has shrunk in the wash though.
Shrunk? God, blimey.
What? No, what? As in like width-wise or leg-wise?
I thought John Hartson was wearing that for a minute.
John Hartson, respect the man.
I do respect him, to be fair.
Michael Manson's just put in the group chat, is Marley Watkins a member at David Lloyd's gym? Maybe he's just seen him in the gym. Actually, let's finish on that. That was interesting comments from Daniel Farker.
Yes.
About Marley Watkins. Apparently his work rate not being right in training. You don't often see a manager reveal that in a press conference.
No, I think obviously he's had a chat with him. He's not seen the response he wants, so he's gone public with it. That's my sort of thought on it, and I think Marley Watkins has to respond. There was a lot of interest in him in the summer. You know, he committed his future to Norwich, and now he's got to prove that he's good enough. Otherwise, he'll be gone.
Perfect.
He's been useless so far, hasn't he? I don't think he has.
Well, he's that second half against Sheffield Wednesday is it really?
We saw him play at Burton, Connor. That was useless.
This is Jacob Butterfield Mark II, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh on Jacob Butterfield, that.
Oh. Thanks very much for watching. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below of everything we've discussed. To all Sheffield United fans, to all Brighton fans, to all Middlesbrough fans, to all Hearts fans, and the rest of the country we've offended in this. We're sorry. Leave us a review on iTunes. If you're a Sheffield United fan, leave us a 1-star review. Thanks very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye-bye.